I'm Michael Laron, and this is the Writer's Journey podcast, where you get a window into the life of a working science fiction and fantasy author. I'm on a mission to go from nobody to bestseller, and I'm documenting every step of the way. Tune in every week as I share my progress and discover what inspires my books and how I write them. You can find the show notes for today's episode at michaellaron.com/podcast. Hello there, and welcome to episode 13. As this episode goes live, this happens to be one of the few times in the year where there are actually 5 Thursdays in the month instead of 4. It's Memorial Day here in the United States, and if any of you listening are serving or have served in the armed forces, either here in the United States or in another country abroad, I want to thank you for your service. To end the month, I thought I would play an exclusive excerpt from a new audiobook I just published from my dark fantasy series, The Last Dragonlord. I think you guys will really like this one. I consider The Last Dragonlord to be one of my cornerstone series, and its protagonist, Old Dark, to be one of my best heroes. Here's a clip from Old Dark, Book 1 in the Last Dragonlord series, narrated by Miles Meili. Enjoy.
The elves immediately dropped to the sand, all 200 of them, men, women, and children. They had pointed ears, bronzed skin, and their eyes were like precious stones that gleamed against the fire. Dark descended upon the beach. "My children, you have betrayed me. You have turned the magic of this world into poison, and you would dare use that poison against me? I should dispose of you all. But I will spare this village under 2 conditions." He wasn't going to spare them, but it made for good theatrics. He landed in the sand, and the thick, coarse grain lodged between his claws. He stomped toward the crowd as Norwin and Moss flanked him. "First, I demand any magic you have stolen from our aquifer," Dark said. 2 of his dragons overturned a hut. They rifled through the straw and pulled out a handful of jars with bright pink liquid inside. The dragons tore through the other huts, throwing bottles into a pile on the sand. "That's what I thought. Consider the first condition satisfied. Next, one of your own attacked me tonight." He paced the sand in front of the villagers. "I do not know his name, but he is dead, so it's no consequence to me. I found this village's rune on a bracelet on his arm." Dark held out the bracelet, scowling. "Here is what we will do," he said. Silence. Dark let the suspense sink in as he let the bracelet drop to the sand. "Will the village elder step forward?" he asked. The line of elves parted. A bald man in a simple cloth shirt and pants stepped forward. He had a sad, wrinkled face, and tufts of white hair stuck out from the sides of his almost bald head. He was tall, but the top of his head barely reached the top of Dark's chest. "I am the elder. What is it you require of us, Lord Dark?" "I know how you elves work," Dark said. "Everything you do is a family affair, is it not? Well, I intend to keep it that way. I ask that the family of the criminal step forward so that I might recognize them, interrogate them, and destroy them. If you reveal yourselves, I will spare the rest of the village. If you do not reveal yourselves, everyone will die." The elder's eyes widened with fear. "Do you have knowledge of the events tonight, Elder?" Dark asked. "No." "You lie." "Then why did you ask the question?" the elder asked. Moss grabbed the man and squeezed him between his claws. "You're being insubordinate," Moss said. "You're going to kill us anyway," the man said, straining. "Just do it." "I'm not done with him yet, Moss," Dark said. Moss threw the elder across the sand. The man rolled several times, and 2 women helped him up. "The Dragon Lord wants an answer," the elder said, straining. "Let us sing again for our dear old Lord Dark." The elves looked at the man, then at Dark, then back at the man. Then they began to sing slowly. "Smile for us, old Dragon Lord." Something grated against Dark's ears. They were singing out of tune. All of them. Softly, then louder until their chanting was the only thing Dark could hear. He shook with fury at the defiance. The elders smirked as he led the chorus. "How do you like our tribute, my lord?" Dark swiped at the crowd, snagging several elves in his claws. Blood splashed across his face. Bodies collapsed into the sand. He roared at the elves as they ran frantically across the beach. His dragons stomped after them, crushing them in their jaws, engulfing them in flames, and grabbing them in their talons before flying high into the sky and dropping them to their deaths. The carnage invigorated him. The flames, the fallen. He lashed his tail and caught elves in his jaws, cracking their spines and throwing them into the tide like trash. "This is how I reward defiance," he screamed.
Thanks for listening. The audiobook version of Old Dark is available on iTunes, Amazon, and Audible. You can pick up your copy at michaelaran.com/thelastdragonlord. Thanks for joining me this week. If you enjoyed the show, here are a couple ways to help a brother out. If you're listening to this on Anchor, favorite the show. If you're listening to this on a podcast app, do me a favor and write me a review and share it with your friends. You can, of course, visit my website and learn more about my work at michaelaran.com. If you have a question, send me a voice message on Anchor and you just might hear it on the show. Next week, I'll be talking about the writing life. Until then, I leave you with a quote. On Memorial Day, I don't want to only remember the combatants. There were also those who came out of the trenches as writers and poets, who started preaching peace, men and women who have made this world a kinder place to live. Eric Burden.